This is an interesting story. I, 29F, childless, have recently had an argument with my friend, 33F, one son aged 2, because I was not constantly available to help her take care of her son after her husband left. We met during college and have known each other for 8 years now. We were very tight during the first years of our friendship but have grown apart after her marriage. Because of our busy schedules, we both have very demanding jobs with night shifts, and because our lifestyles became too different, but have remained in contact. She has informed me last summer that her husband was planning to leave the country for an opportunity at his job, for an indefinite period of time. I asked her how she was planning to take care of her infant son on her own, especially during her night shifts. She said that she would figure it out and added you could stay the night at our house when I'm on call, so that if I have to leave, name of her son, wouldn't be alone. I figured that she meant that she would hire a nanny. She and her husband definitely have the means, and asked me to help if she didn't have any other option, which I would have been glad to do. I should also mention that she lives far from my home and my workplace, approximately a 40 minutes drive. Cut to this summer, her husband has left and I have received multiple texts asking me to stay the night at her place multiple times a month. I was very confused at first and has since understood that she didn't make any arrangements and is fully expecting me to babysit her son whenever she is on call. Her family lives far away and she says that she doesn't have any other friends she can ask. Which is problematic for me since I work multiple late nights each week and have very little free time. I've had a burnout a couple of months ago, which she is aware of, and am still trying to recover, mostly by trying to make the most of the few moments when I'm not at work. I've tried to explain this to her and said that I would help her when I could, but that she couldn't reasonably expect me to be there every single time. It turned into an argument where she called me selfish, said that she was there for me during my darkest moments, which is true. Her husband and her helped me during a breakup a few years ago, but I thought it was unfair to bring that up since I've also helped her during low times. She said that I would rather have fun than be there for her when she desperately needs me too. I don't know what to think anymore. I feel very guilty, but at the same time, it seems unfair that I would have to shoulder this responsibility, especially when things aren't going so well in my own life. I also fear that she would become entirely reliant on me, since her husband is planning to stay abroad for an indefinite period of time. Share your words below, please. Comment 1. NTA, she is seeking free childcare and weaponizing guilt in the process. You should at the very least charge her, but this sounds like an emotionally manipulative person not even worth staying friends with. I feel bad for that kid. Comment 2. NTA. You are not a partner or co-parent. Your friend has completely unrealistic expectations. She is also trying to emotionally manipulate you into thinking you are the one in the wrong here. You need to step back from this person and draw some hard lines about what is and is not acceptable. Comment 3. NTA. That child is no one's responsibility but hers and her baby daddy's. What she's expecting of you is major, like a person would be lucky to have their immediate family members agree to such an arrangement, much less a child-free friend. She's outrageously entitled, and for her to bring up support she's shown you in the past is incredibly manipulative. I would seriously be reassessing that friendship. Short story 2, to set the scene. I, 32F, usually give my postal workers snacks or waters around the holidays, but in the summer, I like to grab drinks from the fridge and hand it to them directly. BC, they'd get hot if I let them sit outside. Last week, my usual UPS driver, 60-ish M, came to drop off a delivery for my front neighbor. It must have been around 9 p.m. because it was darkish outside. He parked in front of my house, and when I noticed him, I thought, I'll go hand him a water and snacks since it's so hot outside. He was on the phone with his wife, and when he saw me he went, "Oh, let me ask my wife if I can take it. Honey, can I take a water from a customer?" He then proceeds, takes the sealed water bottle and snack, says thank you, and I walk away. Yesterday, he rang my doorbell. I come out and say hi. He then asks if he can speak to me while mumbling something on his headset. Conversation went like this. Him, "She's right here, honey, I'm gonna put you on speaker." Me, "Hello? Wife: I mean, as long as you tell her what you needed to tell her, then that's it. Him: she's listening to you, go ahead. Me: hello. Wife: as a married woman, I don't appreciate you giving my husband water or anything. Me: oh, I usually give my UPS, USPS, postal workers snacks or water around the holidays, and especially right now since it's so hot and they're out here so late. Wife: well, as a married woman, I don't like that. And he didn't even have a package for you, you walked out and looked for him. I thought he was at a business making deliveries. Let me take care of my husband. I thought it was a joke, I'm NGL. I let her finish her rant. Me: well, he was making a delivery to my front neighbors, but you know what, I apologize. I will never give your husband anything else from here on out, have a good day. He then proceeded to say thanks and walked away. Didn't say anything else. Mind you, this man is our usually UPS driver. When he drives by, he honks and waves, loves grabbing snacks around the holidays, so I was completely caught off guard with the wife going off on me. I was just trying to be nice to. If you like the story, then kindly please share your words. Thank you. Comment 1. NTA and that lady is nuts. Talk about insecure in a relationship. Bet she spends a lot of time thinking about all those pornos of the delivery guy getting laid by some random woman on his route. He appreciated it, and that's all that matters on your end. This is really more between him and his wife. Keep being a good person. Comment 2. NTA. You were just being nice and kind and thinking of other people's feelings, especially considering how hot it's been and how hard they work in the heat. Offering food and drinks to the delivery drivers is a really sweet thing to do and shows you're a kind-hearted person. Never lose that about yourself. His wife is probably an insecure middle-aged woman who isn't used to people being so generous to someone who just works postal. She probably sees it as flirting, and doesn't know how to react to it and wants it to stop. And honestly, he was most likely forced to do it by his wife. He most likely didn't want it to escalate to that extent, but it did. I'm sure he feels so embarrassed. You did nothing wrong. Comment 3. That is incredibly inappropriate of him to involve you in his bullshit. His wife sounds nuts, and I'd be worried she'd try and get your address from her husband. She probably won't do that, but I don't like people who have some imaginary problem with me knowing where I live. NTA, and this is why we can't have nice things, because of nuts like the wife. Story 3. My sister is angry with me. I, 25F, live in the basement unit of my friend's house. It is a complete separate unit and I pay rent, however the big backyard is a shared space. My younger sister Teresa, 22F, lives at home with my parents still, which is about 20 minutes from my house. It is Teresa's birthday in a couple weekends, on the long weekend, and she has asked me to give up my house from Friday to Monday so her and 12 of her friends who I've met maybe once can party without my parents being around. I told her I would be fine with them staying for one night of the weekend, either Saturday to Sunday, or Sunday to Monday, but I would not want to give my place up for the full weekend. She said that will not work because her friend Samantha has her birthday a day after and they both want to have a full day of partying, therefore they would need to be partying Saturday and Sunday and won't be able to leave Sunday night. Teresa usually has her birthday celebration for a weekend at our cottage, however it is under renovations this year and is not available. I have seen how the cottage looks after the weekend and it is absolutely trashed and not cleaned up whatsoever, stains and food everywhere and the floor is covered in sticky, old drinks. My parents also never do anything to make Teresa see that's very inconsiderate, so she continues to do it. She has given options to me like they will all tent in the backyard and won't bother me if I'm there, but they will still have to use my kitchen for food and my bathroom, and there's no way if 12 people who are 22 years old see 2 bedrooms they won't use the bed. Also, after 3 days of partying I'm sure people will be puking. I don't trust they will clean that up either in the backyard or my bathroom. It is also a shared backyard. I don't feel comfortable letting a bunch of random people in the backyard for 3 days straight when my friend, who owns the house, will most likely want to use the backyard at some point. Teresa is now mad at me, calling me in a hole for not letting her party in my backyard and basement unit all weekend, and says now she'll do nothing for her birthday now because all cottages or campsites within a 5-hour drive are all booked up. I said it is not my fault that her and her friends have decided to start planning a week and a half before the long weekend. I think my offer for one night is nice enough considering I don't know any of her friends very well, and I know I'll be cleaning up after them the next day. She refuses to only party for one day and night though. Have a nice day. Come again. Comment 1. NTA. Absolutely don't let her and her friends stay even one night. This is not your property and you know she's gone to trash it. Your friend/landlord is absolutely not going to want a big crowd of kids taking over their house/yard. Letting them stay, especially with no landlord permission, will likely get you evicted. Comment 2. NTA. You don't even own the house. You're renting a room. If your sister wants to party, she should rent her own venue for that. I notice that your parents aren't volunteering the house where she actually lives for this party, either. There's a good reason for that. Comment 3. NTA. Wow, your sister is sure entitled. To expect you to accommodate her demanding request is totally out of line. You were much more generous than I would have been with the offer you made. In no universe is it your responsibility to turn over your place to her and her friends as she is demanding. Besides, her activities could likely annoy your friend and neighbors and you don't want that. Story 4, let's dive into this story. There's a very busy cafe in a crowded pedestrian area that I go to nearly every day after work, to do more work at. It has 8 outdoor tables with umbrellas. In 4 different places next to the tables it says outdoor seating is for, cafe name, customers only. This past weekend, the ordering line was super long. I stood outside in the baking hot sun for 20 minutes to buy my drink so that I could sit at the outdoor table in good conscience and work. Am I going to just sit at the table and take up space without buying something? No. I don't think that's right. Upon getting my drink, I walk out and every table is occupied by paying customers, except for one. Some young dude who had been sitting there watching anime on his phone the whole time. I ask, hey, are you waiting for your order to come out? And he's like, no. So I said, look man, I'm sorry but these tables are for customers. It's written right there. I come to this cafe all the time, and every single time I buy something so that I can sit at one of these tables. Being the type who thinks victimhood is a virtue, he replied, can I ask, why did you target me? Losing my patience slightly, I said, look around you, you're the only one here who didn't buy something. Everyone else paid. So, realizing he was in the wrong, he started packing up and left with a softer little patience goes a long way. In a way, he would be right if it were only that one instance, but I've patronized this cafe over 500 times in the past 5 years. I always buy their rather expensive drinks to enjoy the outdoor ambience at the tables while I work. And many times I have simply just waited for non-customers to finish their hangouts before I plop down with my purchase. That day I simply had to ask that the rules of the cafe were respected. They own the tables, and the price of those tables is absolutely reflected in the price of the drinks. Can someone please help me? I want to be a good person. I don't want to end up like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. I want to be receptive. I want to be chill. Please reply with a sound, reasoned argument. Should I have just waited? What do you think about it? Comment 1, NTA, but, you go there all of the time and seems like you see this a lot, non-paying customers taking up tables. So why have you not said something to the staff there? I know you asked if this guy was waiting for his order, but what if he had already ate it and tossed it and like he was using the table since he had already bought something? You don't know if that was the case because you just assumed he was freeloading. Your one drink purchases allows you how much work time at a table? Comment 2. NTA, but you don't need a table for a drink. That's barely a good enough purchase to take up a table, especially when you admit to using it for longer than you'd need to finish. Comment 3. I would say gentle YTA because shooing people away is the job of the cafe staff. I would also have just sat down myself, saying, "May I sit here?" Everywhere else is taken. People generally say yes. Goodbye, dear. See you again soon.